Noni got the here we go last week, 50 million from Chelsea to Arsenal. He's going to be one of your new wingers for next season. Obviously not confirmed yet, but it's pretty much going to happen. A lot of Arsenal fans up in arms with the decision to sign him. There's graffiti outside the Emirates. Arteta out, and some words that'll get us demonetized. But where do you stand on the Noni Madueke thing, Lee?
Listen, I'm not fussed about it either way. If I've been really honest, all I want is a striker in. And I think if we'd have got the striker in before that deal, I don't think there would have been nowhere near as much heat of it is. Like, Arsenal fans are a little bit edgy because of this striker situation, and I am. I'm not going to lie, you know what I mean. To go 5 months in a season with a makeshift midfielder as your forward, that's not acceptable, guys. A football club like Arsenal, it's not. It should, them basically to say, look, well, we've kept our powder dry because we're going to get the what we want the one we want in January. Let's be really honest. As much as I like Gyökeres and I think he's going to be a very, very good player, to be still negotiating and still trying to, he wasn't the one in January that they fogged off everything for. There was somebody else. I don't know who that is. I don't know, but it certainly wasn't Gyökeres because that deal would have been done. Could have been Sesko. You know what I mean? Could well have been. I don't think that somebody like Sesko, as a young and up and coming player, you should go 5.5 months without having a striker for. I think that was really poor from the club. I really do, and I've still not forgiven it. Because we got to the Champions League semi-final without a forward. You know what I mean? Like, we've all played football. We've all been in football. So if you haven't got a forward, you're up against it, So to get that forward, I think is the main thing. Now, listen, going around putting graffiti on things and all that, grow up. There's a lot. There's a lot more important
serious things in the world, right?
Yeah, it's just really silly. It just makes us look a little bit. Listen, we all can have a moan and a groan and lose our stuff and all that, but doing things like that, Arteta out and all that. The thing is with Arsenal, and I don't care what anybody says, there's a fan base for whatever reason, and it's whatever Arteta does, he can't do no wrong, and then there's a part of the fan base that Arteta can't do anything right, and I don't understand either one of them. At the end of the day, yes, he has done fantastically well. Yes, he's made mistakes, and Christ, you should be allowed to tell him that if he's had a poor decision or whatever. I think at the end of the day, Arteta has done fantastically well to get us challenging as we're up there. But at the end of the day, he's entitled to be. You're a fan. You're paying fan. You can criticise as well, but there's a certain part of the fan base, you can't attack Arteta for what he's done and everything like that, But listen, I think that for me, and I can only speak for myself, if that centre forward comes through, Gyökeres comes through, I'm very, very relaxed. Whatever we do in the transfer window after that, and at the end of the day, transfers don't win you the leagues. You know what I mean? Because I think that was. Let's be honest, Liverpool didn't buy hardly anybody last season and won the league. Yeah. So, you've got to be realistic about it. And listen, you can go and what happened with us, and I think, unbelievably with Timber, had a sensational season considering coming back from that injury. But first game of the season, he got injured and didn't play, so you've got to have a little bit of luck with injuries and everything like that, So, if we get Gyökeres over the line, listen, we've gone 3 years. I think 3 years is too much, but definitely a year now without a forward. And we didn't challenge, I don't think, for the leagues last season. I think the season before we did. But to challenge and be second and get to the Champions League in the semi-final without a forward, I think at the end of the day, there's something to work on there. Get the forward in. It changes so much stuff. I know, we talk about, I think Arsenal drew 12 games last season. If you've got a proper forward, I'm not saying you win the league with that, but those 12 12 games, you might win 6 of them. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, that's another 12 points on top. You know, I just think that it's so important that Arsenal get that over the line. I think if they then go and get Eze, that would be, you know, a real good signing and all that. Like, and at the end of it, Arsenal said they were going to spend money. I know it sounds silly, guys. Arsenal have said that they're going to spend money. It don't always happen, like, you know. But this season, it does look like they are spending. And but at this moment in time, until they get Gyökeres, I don't think we improve our 11 with the signings that we've got, and that's been a little bit of an issue with me. Like, you know, get him in, and it improves the 11, and maybe one more, which probably hopefully will be Eze. We can get on.
What I would say about that, what I would say to you about that is, when you go 1 to 11, apart from the striker, I would say you're one of the better teams. I was talking about.
Yeah, we're up there.
You know, a great goalkeeper, 2 world-class centre-halves, a couple of world-class centre midfielders, a couple of world-class wingers, and you're only a world-class striker away. I don't think necessarily, and this is what I disagree with the Arsenal stuff, is that I don't necessarily think you need to. I don't think there's a lot you're gonna get that's gonna improve your 11. But it's having that quality that comes in underneath that 11 is the reason why you
100%. Right? 100%, and that's why I think Arsenal fans are a little bit edgy, because we haven't got that forward. I think get that forward in.
I think sometimes
probably a bit edgy as well, because every tweet is inundated with Tottenham fans saying "War a trophy." I reckon that's probably putting them on edge a bit.
What I would say about that in seriousness, though, right, is that I think that's very short-sighted of the Arsenal fans. It ain't that long ago that you were sitting in sort of like mid-table. You know, so I'm not saying you, Lee, but I'm just saying, like, some of the Arsenal fans that have put graffiti on there and all that sort of thing. And I do believe this is you know, if you get the centre forward, which it looks like you've got him, you have got him, this is the last roll of the dice, right, Arteta, in my opinion. Yeah, it gets the forward, then the ball can turn around and say, "We've give you everything now." You know, what I mean, like, you're close.
I agree with that.
You give you the centre forward, the big name centre forward that you wanted. If you don't win the league this year, I think that's it for him, right? But that's for him. That's not for Arsenal. That's for him.
Nick, and I totally agree with that. That doesn't mean to say he's a bad manager, because
absolutely not.
You know, to get to where Arsenal have got is not easy. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's just you've got to have saying about you. The question is, and it goes on that, is it can you go that level next up? Can you get that elite trophy and whatever? And that's the thing, like, listen, I think at the end of the day, you are right. We just made the point about, you know, you need like Champions League and you need a strong squad. We played a lot of games last season. Forget about injuries, because, you know what I mean, like, all teams get injuries. Like, we had 4 players. No, I don't mean, we had 4 players in the semi-final, and also for half the season, 4 youth players that have never played for Arsenal, never will, and have all left now. You know, the squad wasn't strong enough. So bringing in the players that he's bringing in ain't glamorous signs, but it does strengthen that squad.
This is what I'm saying. I think some of your fans, they always think every signing has got to be a Mbappe coming in, or
Rodrigo, innit? That's what they're on about all the time. Rodrigo.
I think Madueke improves the depth of the squad. It doesn't necessarily improve the team, because you've got if your whole team is fit, it's a good enough team.
Well, the other thing, isn't it? This is another thing of what you don't realise. When people go, well, why don't you go and get Kudus, or why don't you go and get so and so and so and so, like, you know. One of the things is, you know what I mean, like, you know, say if it is Kudus, for instance, like, you know what I mean, like, well, where am I going to play? We're going to be back up to Saka. Well, I don't want that. You know what I mean? Like, so
Madueke, isn't it?
So, like, you know, so it's a difficult one.
If they back themselves, Lee, you know what I mean? Like Madueke.
Well, yeah, I like that. I think the centre half coming in.
You know what? He might be the best in the league at the minute, but I want to be the best in the league. But what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to get at is here. That's why I think the Arsenal fans are so short-sighted, because they think every signing has got to be someone to improve your 11. You've got to improve the team.
I kind of understand the frustration. What I don't understand from this idea is from these two signings is I was watching your debate, Lee, with Robbie the other day, and he was talking about, with the Gyökeres deal. They're just negotiating. You've got to get the best deal. This is how you negotiate deals and stuff. Well, where was the negotiation for Madueke? Why have they just dumped up the money, 50 million, and they're happy to pay, which for me is an overpayment of at least 10 million for Madueke, in my opinion.
Really?
Right? They've decided they've put that money on the table, and they said, look, we're happy to pay that money. Yeah, with Gyökeres, they're fiddling around with 1 or 2 million here and there, and they're all of a sudden hesitant to pay what's necessary to get him in. Yet with Madueke, Arsenal are, I think apparently Arsenal were apparently only prepared to pay 40. Chelsea wanted 50, and then said, okay, fine, we'll pay 50. So why is then all this absolute definitive kind of negotiating with Chelsea about paying the extra money? Well, Gyökeres all of a sudden gone.
I feel you're simplifying the Gyökeres thing a little bit at the moment. Sporting Lisbon feel like the add-on deal, like the achievable add-ons are too small, and the rest of it is in like unachievable add-ons. So they're just kind of restructuring the finances for a deal to go around. Because obviously Gyökeres is his agent. He's not going to be getting any money from this. He kind of just denied his agent fee in hopes to push this move through. So I don't know. I get the impatience. Actually, no, I don't get the impatience. You got Zubamendi, yeah. Gyökeres seems like he's going to be in the door. You got a player, Madueke, who's actually improved and is going up right now. And I think 52 million, and it's not a straight 52, it's 40 plus add-ons. I think that's more than fair, because add-ons doesn't always mean you're guaranteed to get that money. And if you are guaranteed to get, it's going to be over time. It's not going to be anytime soon, because these guys, these structure on the books, right, when they're doing the amortization costs and fees. So I think that's a very fair deal for Noni Madueke. And you've got this Mosquera guy coming in and hopefully trying to bag Eze. I think that's a very, very strong team to be strong squads that Arsenal got in the making right now. I don't agree with the talk that if they don't win the title, Arteta's out. I think that's the mistake you make, because who's going to come in and do better with that? Because you got to respect the fact that you got us, you got Liverpool, you got City. To be better than all three teams consistently, that's not an easy thing to do. So like, it's getting rid of the guy that's even put you on the map to start challenging the Wise thing.
He's got to do it, otherwise it's all for nothing. He might as well be David Moyes. He's got to do it.
I agree.
I've seen all these clubs fall off a lot quicker than going up,
Spurs. Very comparable.
You can win a trophy and get sacked.
You can.
Ancelotti's been sacked for that. Postecoglou's been sacked for it and all that. It's not always about that. What it is about, and it's the way you go about it. Like, listen. If Arsenal like 2 seasons ago, Arsenal went from January to May and dropped 5 points. 2 of them were away at Man City. They lost to Aston Villa. That cost us the league by a point, right? You have to look at that and go, well, hold on a minute. What more could you really do? It was the game against Aston Villa. You go back to that. We should have been 2-0 up before it, but because we missed chances. But in saying that, it's the context of it all. Like, I don't, if you was to go out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round, League Cup in the 3rd round, don't do well in the Champions League, come 3rd or 4th in the league without really challenging for it, of course, then you're gonna have to look at it and go there, like, And listen, I think that someone's just said in the chat, Arteta's the new Poch and all that, like, but listen, Spurs had wonderful times under him. Like, it didn't quite happen, but it was still great times. But there is that time when you do get a little bit edgy, a little bit like, well, we need to get it over the line now. And I think Arsenal are in that stage now where you're giving everything to him. And at the end of the day, no disrespect when people, and I get what you're going to get with, you get rid of Arteta. Well, let me tell you this. Liverpool got rid of Klopp, who's a lot better than Mikel Arteta, and they went and won the league. So it doesn't necessarily marry up like that. But this thing about, like, sacking because he don't do this, you know what I mean? Like, who knows? We don't know what Newcastle are going to do this. We're saying, Chelsea could, as you said earlier on, Nick, Chelsea could come from nowhere. Yeah. So, listen, it's been a very, very good couple of years for us challenge. Listen, I go to games now, right? I go to Tottenham. expecting to win. I go to Man City not expecting to lose now. I go to Liverpool hoping that we can win or get something from the game. Chelsea, 4 or 5 years ago, boys, I was going there going, oh, we don't get stuffed 3 or 4-0. And going to Liverpool and being 4-0 down at half time and Man City 6-2 and all that, like, you know, Chelsea 6, Tottenham beating us like you know, at White Hart Lane every year. Like, all of a sudden, every single game I go to now, I feel like we can win it. And coming out of grounds like Chelsea, like certain other grounds, and going like, do you know what? We've drawn there, but I'm disappointed we only drew. You know what I mean? Like, and there's a lot to be said about that. You know what I mean? Like, but you still got to get
last season with 10 men.
Say again?
City last season.
No, yeah, I come away from. I tell you what, Nick, I come away from there with 10 men, right? Oh, I'm so proud of the team, but like, oh, we should have won that game. Like, I've been there with 11, and we've, you know what I mean? It's, you know what I mean? Like, we're 3-0 down at half time or whatever, like, you know. And listen, you've been there, you know, with Spurs as well as you know what I mean? Like, not so much you, Nick, sorry, but like when you've been up there winning games, when you want to go, when you know, like, you go to grounds like Liverpool and you think, a couple of my Spurs mates, when they're going up to Liverpool, they say, oh, we're going to get smashed if you watch it 4 or 5-0. When you get beat 4 or 5-0, what do you expect? But there was a time when you're winning, you know, you think, right, I'm up for this. I'm up for it, like, you know. And I think we're at that stage now, but we just got to get over the line. And I do think, you know, like, a forward makes such a difference. And I think that if we get him in, I'm not saying Arsenal are going to win it, but I feel a lot more confident in what I have done over the last year. I know, like, last season, I knew Arsenal weren't going to win the league. Now, they might win a cup, but I knew they weren't going to win the league, because you've got to have that killer at some stage. You know what I mean? And at the end of it, league form does, you know, and it, look, you know, you think I'm being bitter at that. Anybody can win a cup, you know what I mean? Like, that can be done, because you need a little bit of luck. It's only 4 or 5 games or whatever. It can win the FA Cup and all that. Doesn't mean to say you're the better team. But in the league, if you're weak, you've got weaknesses, you will get found out. And I believe Arsenal have been found out because they don't score enough goals when it matters. It's all right beating some and so Sheffield United 6-0, going over that. But then when you draw 1-1 away from home to, I don't know, you know, a mid-table Aston Villa or something.
Yeah.
They're the games, crucial games. You know what I mean? West Ham at home. You know what I mean? Like, not so much this season, the season before last. Totally dominating the game. Miss. They go and score. We can't break them down. Lose 1-0. If you've got a striker who takes one of those chances, it's a different game. And that's all I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? So I think that the signing of Gyökeres will be a big, if it is Gyökeres, I think it'll be a big thing. And I know what people say about patience and all that, and I get that. But to go the whole, you know, we had not, when that transfer window opened in January, we didn't have a forward. And to not go and get one and then go into the season again without one would be criminal. And that's why Arsenal fans, you can get it why they've been a little bit impatient. Not to the extremes that they've done, obviously, but I can see why there's been a little bit of frustration. Also, don't forget, and I know it's the same with all you guys and whatever, I'm going on a little bit here, but at the beginning of the end of the season, like, season tickets up in price, more money. So everything's gone up, and you're scrimping and saving, trying to scrimp for £5 million. You know, what my Chelsea mate said to me, like, don't look at it like, it was a good question. He made me feel a lot better when he said, look, don't look at it like, you know, you just spent like 50 million on Madueke, like, you know what I mean? Think that you spent 60 million with Kepa as well. It does sound a little bit better. So I'm going down that route.
What is it, Lee? What is it between Arsenal and Chelsea, man?
I have no idea.
There's got to be something dodgy going on in the background.
Well, I have no idea. Like, do you know? I think there is a rivalry between Tottenham and Arsenal and Chelsea.
Rivalry. Who hates Tottenham more between the two? That's your rivalry, not between you two.
Well, listen, I think Arsenal Arsenal have and Tottenham, it's ingrained. I think like you're brought up to hate Tottenham. Like, I never hated Chelsea when I was younger. I hate them now because of what they've done. It's not been ingrained into me. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
but
And
I
obviously
look
for
at them
us, like, we're
you
just
know,
used to beating
Arsenal,
Spurs all the time, right? So like the rivalry doesn't make. Obviously, it's there, but it's because you're more like the whipping boys, isn't it?
yeah, but I don't like say like I can ask a question. I don't know. You know, Chelsea are playing Tottenham, right? As much as I don't like Chelsea, I want Chelsea to win those two games. Don't matter what. I don't care. West Ham are playing Tottenham. I want, West Ham. Manchester United are playing Tottenham. I want Man United. Manchester City. When Manchester City are playing Tottenham, I want Man City not to lose. You know what I mean? Like, but what
even
about
that one.
Chelsea?
Don't tell me when
Spurs
Sonny
are
went
playing.
through on goal. When Sonny went through on goal at the back end of that season, don't tell me you didn't want him to score.
No, I don't want brother. You could. I was live on thing. I like that. You know what I mean? If it is, it is. You know what I mean? Like
You refuse to celebrate Kane scoring at the,
Oh, yeah,
at the
exactly.
World Cup.
I ain't gonna. At the end of the day, and don't tell me like you know what I mean that Song deliberately tried to miss that. You know what I mean? It's just stupid talk. At the end of it, when Arsenal are playing Spurs, who do Chelsea want to win? I don't think that. I think they want that. I think they'd want the team like they put if they're challenging for the title, they probably want Tottenham to win, like, but it ain't like that for Arsenal fans, and I'm sure it's the same when Arsenal are playing Chelsea. Who do Tottenham fans want to win that game?
Chelsea.
I want Chelsea to beat Arsenal. Yeah.
There you go. You know what I mean?
Nini, when Arsenal are playing Spurs, who do you want to win?
You're asking me that. I don't know. Like, do many Chelsea fans have like a strong answer for that? I'd probably say Arsenal because I know they're closer to affecting us than Spurs are, realistically. So that's how it's always going to be Arsenal for me.
Nick, what about you?
Give a shit either way.
You're lying.
Don't involve us. I don't give a shit either way, honestly. We're normally not involved in that end of the league, so.
Yeah,
just want everyone to beat Spurs.
You see Tottenham as a rival, though, didn't you? As your rival, surely. Or don't you? There was a big rivalry between West Ham and Tottenham a few years back. Is that gone now?
No,
it's not gone. I can tell you, it's not gone.
There's definitely a hatred there. I want everyone to beat Tottenham. I really do. But they will want everyone to beat us because. I know that they all sit there and say about we're not rivals. My mate runs a Fighting Cock podcast. Go on there and tell them they're not rivals because I'll tell you what, they not get upset when we start winning. You know what I mean? So,
but it's so rare.